Hello everyone, thank you for being with us today. I'm Jay Manari, Festival Director of MiraBan UK Film Awards 2nd edition. Today I'm hosting David Stuart Snell, the Director of By Light of Desert Night, candidated for Best UK Feature. Thank you, David, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, the film By Light of Desert Night is the story of three girls who are traveling towards a desert camping adventure, and something happens to them and shifts the story from a comedy of what we could imagine being like Mean Girls towards a much more thriller, dark story. So without giving the audience any spoiler, I want to introduce David first, and then I'll go through the Q&A with them. So David started his career as a photographer. He has a strong background in photography, and particularly he experimented Super 8 a lot. His escalating career brought him to work as an assistant director in a few TV dramas, and at the same time also he started working as production manager. He produced a few music videos to create a reel of his own, and By Light of Desert Night is his feature directorial debut. So congratulations, David. That's exciting for us to have you as a first-time feature director here. And so we are really curious to know how was, first of all, this jump from doing shorts as a director to actually having the first-time feature of your own. I'm sure there's been an escalating road of obstacles and challenges, but you made it. So share with us how you did it.
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is independent filmmaking, and this is a festival made by and for independent filmmakers, so we know the hard history behind it.
No worries. Well, I mean, it's really bloody hard. Really hard. I think it's funny because, some people do different journeys towards directing their first feature, and they purely come at it from making short films and maybe don't necessarily work in the industry at all. They just do it because they love it. They make short films and gradually they build up and they build up and they build up and they do a feature. My approach was slightly different. So I was working in the industry for a good number of years on broadcast TV, and then for production companies as a production manager, and from then became a director myself and worked on some big budget stuff, and so rather than kind of building up and then doing a feature, I did some stuff with big budgets and then went right back down again to doing a feature, and suddenly you're like, this was easier when we had budgets and crews and assistants and people to help make this happen. And suddenly, you find yourself in the middle of a desert and with not very much money to spend, but with an amazing, super enthusiastic group of people. And it's like you rediscover what you love about making production in general. Because you love it all the time, but when you're working it day in, day out on projects that you maybe don't care that much about, but you're just doing it for a paycheck,
right?
Sometimes you forget a bit of the magic of being part of a group of people that's really wanted to tell a story.
Yes,
I think that was the best for me.
I'm sure you learn. I mean, we remember when we do this kind of low budget productions, and especially when we are the leaders of this low budget production, we actually understand how much powerful the story we're telling is. Because I mean, most of people, they don't only do it for the credit but they do it because they love the story. So all the sacrifice behind being in an uncomfortable kind of context like the desert can be. I'm sure people that love your story, they trust and say probably in the worst moment they say, what the hell, why did I do it? But at the same time, when they are doing it, they love it so much that they keep on and they give you the great result in the end.
That is definitely true. I was very lucky. I found some great cast who really just got excited about the story. They wanted to do it. I had some great people that our local producer Gemma found in Las Vegas, and they were super, very talented TV production people that really wanted to do an indie feature. So they, in Las Vegas, a lot of the production is very high-end TV. They're all people that like making films. So they had, so serendipitous, but we had a 10-day shoot schedule, and they were all doing a big TV program, and 2 days after mine finished, my entire crew were going on to Ramsay's Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen, Las Vegas. They took every single person, and there was no more production people left in Las Vegas, and they were even accelerating people to union status because the production got so big so fast, and everyone kept turning around and saying, if you had shot this 1 week later, there'd be no one in Nevada to shoot this with you. You'd be on your own.
Jesus.
They were so happy to do it. They were, doing it. It was very super tight, low budget, but they were just gave everything, and there was such a great bunch of people.
Right. So it was a very rushy production schedule. But what about the post-production? Was it that short, or you gave yourself some time?
I didn't give myself very much time. I just basically, I edited it myself because we didn't have any money left for an editor. So I decided to edit it myself. I spent maybe probably three months trying to get it to a manageable length, and you get into lots of conversations. By virtue of the fact that I've worked in the industry a long time, I was able to kind of get people's opinion on it who are working people. And the general consensus was trying to bring it down to the 1 hour 40, 1 hour 35 mark, because it's just a much easier, and it's probably the wrong way to come at making a film, but ultimately I had people that had invested some money in it. I needed to make it as sellable as possible.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, that's the truth.
It's a business at the end of the day. It's some of my money, but it's other people believed in it enough to think, okay, well, if I put it in, can I at least get it back? I'm not expecting to make a lot of money, but can I at least get my money back?
Yeah, it's exactly at least that.
And as I'm sure it's super hot. You feel beholden to get at least. I'm not saying anyone's going to get rich. You're not going to get rich, but you might get your money back.
Yeah.
So we would meet with sales agents and people, and they would give me feedback. They'd be like, this scene, you could cut it down a little bit. It's a really nice scene, but
let's move it on. Yeah, let's keep the pace up.
Going a little bit quicker. And as the writer and the director, I'm like, oh my god, you can't be kidding! You do what? Cut it? No way, never. And then you kind of.
Do you find?
Yeah, go on.
I was saying, do you find, in a way, being also the writer and the director, after this challenging moment when you're asked to cut down a scene you're so in love with, do you felt at the end of this process you learn much more how to pace your own writing, your own imagination as well, or this doesn't affected you at all? What do you think?
Well, that's tough. I mean, everything is a learning curve, and you really learn something new on absolutely every time you turn that camera on and deal with people in front and behind it. You learn something different. I don't know if I did learn that. I mean, yes, instinctively, I can kind of felt that, when I look back on the film, I kind of think, what, I could have done with an extra scene here to maybe just do something there, and it's I like the film. I'm happy with the film. I'd like to, like everyone, I'd probably if you said to me, do you want to do the whole thing all over again? I wouldn't say no straight away. I might be like, oh, let's think about that.
Yeah, there are a couple of things you would like to improve, or you would like to make sure they fit in somehow.
But again, we had so little money and so little time, and where we shot, even if we had more money, we shot in a place called the Valley of Fire in Nevada. They only allow one production in per day, even though it is vast. They will not give permission to more than one production per day.
Why is that so? I mean,
they just don't. They let you shoot there, but it's under they don't care if you shoot there or not. It means nothing to them. They're like, we care about the park, the turtles. You guys are a nuisance, and we're only going to have one nuisance in per day. And plus, they don't want you to spoil the people that just want to come and look around the park, because film crews, some are nice and some film who's caused a lot of trouble everywhere they go, and like a bull in the china shop. So they're just like one a day. So when I went for the recce, which was in I think November, it was November. I forget what year we shot it. We shot it in 2019. So I went in November 2018 to do the recce. The next gap that they had to film, you can only film for about a month in the spring and a month in the autumn, or it's too cold at night and too hot during the day. So we had this gap, and they said, when we spoke to them and said about filming days, they literally said, we have 10 days left in 2019, do you want them? We only have 10 consecutive days left, one spot, and it's in April. Do you want them?
That's give it or take, basically.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, we don't even have all of the money yet.
Okay, let's jump into it.
Let's do it. And it was panicky all the way up to the line.
Right. So going into the relationship between the three girls, because that's that's the writing side of it, which I'm particularly fond of, because I love this chance to interview a director-writer, because they have both technical and emotional information going on so much in deep, much more than just a director working on someone else's script. So what is you talked about secrets, and three friends, they think they know each other so well, and they are like so close. They share a relationship with the same boy without knowing it. But how did you come up with this idea of putting them into the desert to bring up this level of emotion that in a way shows us that they don't know each other at all?
It's a funny question, and the truth behind that is, when I first wrote this maybe four or 5 years ago, it was actually a short film, and I wrote it because I had a shoot that was taking place in a desert, and because of the shoot, and because of the person that was in the talent that was supposed to be on camera, we had to have a crew standing by for 5 days, but we would only actually have 1 day to shoot with them, but we had to have them on hold the whole time. And me and the producer Ash, he said, why don't we've just done a short film together. He said, why don't you write another short film and we'll just shoot it in the desert while we've got this crew standing there. And I said, that's a really good idea, we should do that. And I went away and I wrote this short, and as any writer will respond to, my shorts came out at 40 pages. And then Ash the producer kind of laughed and said, that's not fucking shorts, that's half of a long. And I said, well, and then we kind of talked about it, and I said, well, to be honest, I'd rather make a feature. I feel like this is the time that I want to start to think about making my first feature, and I'm more inclined to make it longer than I am to cut down the shorts. So we kind of said, well, okay, well, let's try and make it into a long. And I wrote the script, and it's like, we'd done a huge job in Dubai just a couple of years before that, where I'd been filming in the desert with horses and and it was all exciting and fun. And I thought, I love the desert. The desert's a fun place to shoot. Plus, it's so cinematic. The three girls alone. We at certain stages in the production, we said, okay, what if we can't go to a desert? What if you have to move it to England or another country where you don't have a desert? And I was just like, it doesn't work. No. You need this loneliness, you need this expanse, you need these girls to feel like nobody's watching them, but all eyes are on them from each other at all times. And the only place that really works is either in the desert or maybe at sea alone on a boat perhaps. But I don't think it worked anywhere else. And the desert's, it's mysterious, it's exciting, it's pretty to look at, it's exciting to film, it's lonely, it's hot, it's uncomfortable, it's cold. And it felt right.
Did your sound guide was very happy of the desert situation?
The sound guide?
Yes.
He was happy at times. Ryan's like the loveliest guy in the world. He was happy, but he was. I tell you what's really funny is you're thinking in the desert, super quiet all the time, nothing to worry about. There's still
the stereotype.
Yeah, but there's still planes going overhead. It's just like we were all standing there, going, "This is great. It's going to be so silent." 2 seconds later, yeah. We all looked at Ryan. He was
Helicopters and renters and everywhere. Well, fantastic. So if you have to think about a funny moment, I mean, plenty of funny moments, I'm sure, but if you have to point out one, also in between the cast, working and, because I imagine, watching the story, I love this shift between these girls looking like literally, mean girls from the TV show at the same time, moving on towards being, oh my God, these girls can be dangerous, can think of killing someone in the desert. Why the desert is bringing this madness up? Because I'm sure it's somewhere in there, but why there? Why now?
Well, you know what? I think that I'm fascinated by stories where people are pushed to do things that they would never entertain in a million years when it comes to their own personal survival and maybe the survival of what they think is important. I think the reality is that you, me, anyone else, if you push them into a certain scenario, you're going to do crazy stuff in order to get out of it again. And I like the idea that these girls, I really wanted the characters to seem like they could be a little bit superficial, a little bit fragile, but really underneath it all, they all were just armor. They all had, for their own reasons in their life, they all developed very, very thick hide underneath it all. And they were just, they knew, they want certain things out of life, and they each saw an opportunity and I guess weighed up their friendship against the opportunity, and the opportunity won.
In particular, the character. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
I just find things like that quite interesting. I like that kind of story.
Yeah, I was thinking about the character of April because I think she's the one who, in a way, is awakened the most by this experience. She is like you said. It for you is. For the audience to choose if she's a heroine who grows in her journey, or if she's a kind of a victim of the circumstances turned into an anti-hero. Do you think there is a way to think she's both?
What do you think?
I personally, watching her, I think I cannot blame her for anything she did, except that, I just justify the circumstances in which she chose and took the opportunity. I think her growth makes me, in a way, admire her cold blood in a certain situation, because at the very end, she looked to me, watching her as an audience, not only as the festival director, she looked to me as the princess girl that believes that their boyfriend is, she's gonna get married with the only boy she's ever been with, and she's the only girl he has ever been with. And then, boom, the little softball, explodes, and she finds out actually your boyfriend is not the prince you imagined he was. So how are you gonna take that? And she takes it, with a certain level of anger, but is also justified by the pressure she has in her own family, and how she wants to, now that she learned how to survive in the desert, I think she's able to survive and also in the urban jungle.
I think that, you just hit the nail right on the head there. That's exactly right. And I actually have half of a screenplay as a sequel to this film that I've just kind of been, because really when I made the film with the girls, they were just hassling me the whole time, going, "Oh, we want to know what happens. We want to know what happens." And I said, "Okay." Well, I confess, I do kind of have an idea of what happens. No, tell us. And I was like, no, I can't tell you.
Obviously not now.
No, because I don't want it to affect how you perform in the scenes here. I don't want you to know necessarily. Make up your own narrative by all means, but I don't want you to I don't want to pre-build anything in for you. But there is, and the whole thing you just said about surviving beyond the small town and the desert is exactly the goal. The purpose of the film, or the purpose of the benefit of what happens to her, is it prepares her. Because life's not easy, and no matter how easy her life's been so far, that's unusual. And I really wanted her to just ultimately be given the tools, the mental tools that she needs to go out and get shit done, do what she needs to do, get on with her life. It's really hard to talk about this without saying spoilers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard. But I think, in a way, we're talking about shifts in relationships and shifts in the story. So everyone is ready to, we didn't say what the turning point is. We know there is someone, not so faithful, but that doesn't mean that we said everything.
No, we're good.
Yeah. I was thinking, do you imagine the sequel, if there is one, maybe not in the desert, but now in the urban jungle, as I mentioned, like more into the scenario of the safe zone, how we can imagine it.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, I think it's, I think the sequel would take place somewhere between not a bustling metropolis, but not the desert. Somewhere in the middle of that. Like a smaller town. I think still a little bit out of the way of everything. But I think the next part of the story, you do kind of pick people up on a journey towards that metropolis, and then the next thing takes place a little bit further. So I guess if you start film 1, they're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Film 2, they're getting closer to the world.
Right.
And weirdly, after I wrote the script, and I've got a couple of more films that I'm working on, I've seemed to only be capable of writing this kind of story because all of my subsequent projects have very similar female characters. And it's, I was looking at it the other day thinking, maybe I should try to write, male characters.
Oh no, please, continue writing about female characters. I remember reading your director's statement that it's true, this was a man's story, like a story written for men. It wouldn't be original, it wouldn't look original, but the level of growth and the level of, exploration that you did on these characters, I think because they are female characters, that you brought something new about them. So please do not change, your of interest.
Well, the funny thing is, I was talking about this with someone not so long ago, and talking about characters in films, and I said, the reality is, I'm a little bit bored of seeing male stories. It's just like, I don't think there's, apart from something very niche, pretty much every, hero's journey, every story arc has been covered by male characters.
Yeah.
And if you gave me the option, I would much rather see female roles. And I come from, I have, a very strong mother figure. I've got a great sister, and I've got a strong independent girlfriend, and those characters are people that I respond to. I have brothers as well, and they're great as well. But I'm very close with the female side of my family, and I do feel like they've got great stories, and that is probably what inspires a lot of the stuff that I write, and I take great pleasure in doing so. I guess at a certain point of time, I think in this day and age, you're always kind of wary that someone's going to go, well, who are you as a guy to be writing, how a girl behaves? And I kind of think it's just, you shouldn't worry about stuff like that. It's just like, I wouldn't care if a girl wrote a story. If a guy, if you have a good story, find a way to tell it. And
yeah, absolutely. If you have inspiration, I'm sure, as a writer, you will always seek for, not approval, it's not the right word, but you want somehow to know what your, people who are around you think. And best of all, if they are female members of your family, because they can be crucially honest and say, this is, I don't like it, you should, cut it off. And at the same time, this is, wonderful. Did you took inspiration about, our situation, by the way, or you took inspiration from someone else's life? They might think you were...
No, there's no one this happened to that I know of did it. But I did run the script by lots of people, boys and girls. I ran it past lots of them, and I just, does this feel, because I'm very much, I don't, when you're watching a film and you can tell that the motivations of the characters are just like, wait, what? They just did what? why would they would never do that? And there were certain times in this script where I did think to myself, like, would they though? Would they? I never want anyone to ever at a certain point go, that would no chance. That's no chance. And I always tried to make it that there was enough reason that they could go. I was really keen to, hopefully that we managed to keep it to a believable level, but it was really important for me that everyone's motivation was real. And you know, the biggest and part of the thing that I love the most about it is working with the cast. So the three girls were super into the story. They had questions, ideas, lots of, you know, I wrote each character a backstory, and I gave it to the girls. I said, take it, don't use it, whatever you want to do, and I'll answer any questions you want me to answer about their backstory. So try not to put me on the spot in the middle of the desert and take 3 of the scene, but you know, ask me anything you want to ask me. And between us, we worked it, and we worked the script, and I had dialogue in there, and I said, anytime there's some dialogue that doesn't feel right coming out of your mouth, let's talk about it, and let's make it something that does. Because for me, the story is the important thing, and for a viewer to believe what they're saying is the important thing. So there were quite a few moments in the script where, you know, the girls would they would do a tiny bit of ad-libbing, or they would go, you know, this line, I feel funny saying it, I don't feel like I'm
comfortable in saying it. Yeah.
And they would give me an option, or I would write them some options, and we would then put that into the script. And so, I mean, the script was changing almost up until the dialogue was changing up until virtually the next shot.
Well, I think that the beauty of, you know, what the actors can do for the script is it really giving them so much depth that then they find the words for you in the end. Even though if you want, maybe you are particularly fond of a line and you want them to say it exactly that way, but then you see how they're saying it and they let them say it the way they want it to say, and it actually comes so natural and so true. Then you're like, okay, keep it.
Yeah, and it's such a nice feeling, isn't it, when you hear them say it and you're like, I mean, I'll tell you what, I think one of the most exciting things is when you hear your dialogue spoken for the first time by a talented actor. And the girls were great in this film. I mean, they
were all astonishing, yeah.
We had a great moment. You asked about a funny story. We had this brilliant moment, and I'm going to try and do it without giving too much away. It was me and Lara, who plays April. Maybe the second to last day of the shoot, and we were in a ditch in the desert, super dirty. And she was lying in the ditch, and they were setting up the camera, and I was kind of lying in the ditch with her, talking to her about the scene. And she said, you know, Dave, you don't actually have to lie in the ditch with me while we're doing the scene. And I said, well, this is a low budget shoot. I'm asking a lot of you anyway, and I'm asking you to lie in this ditch for quite a long period of time. So I would never ask you to do anything I wouldn't do. Plus, it's hard to talk to you from the top of the ditch. So we lay there and we both kind of went, yeah, let's have a little talk about the scene. And we're like, you know what, this is super uncomfortable, isn't it? But I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. This is just filmmaking at its finest. Two, director and actor lying in a ditch, practicing lines, hoping that somebody brings us some water at some point.
At some point.
Yeah.
Before the fruits arrive.
It was lovely.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing to hear. You know, that's the beauty of, you know, first-time feature director and learning from the actors as well. You know, I think you nailed it, because it's, you know, being a, you know, first feature and the level of, I love the script. I love the turning points. I think that's what makes the movie original and you know, it grabs your attention so much. So I look forward for the audience to watch it, and you know, please watch it on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of August. It's going to be live stream on our website. You can also vote for your favorite film of the entire edition. So, you know, please watch David Stuart Snell's By Light of Desert Night. And we really thank you, David, for being with us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for saying so many nice things.
It's been a pleasure for me too. And bye, everyone. Thank you for being with us.